Hi friends, I'm Amy and this is A Star Reads, and look what I've been missing. Oh, now I'm missing a house. Oh, the buildings are all over the place. Okay, well, I have been missing the game of Bookish Life. I got really frustrated with my game last year because it just wasn't working for me the way that I wanted it to. So this year, 2025, I'm gonna make sure I make my game work for me, and I just wanna go back to having fun with it. So that is the plan. I'm gonna tell you about my TBR today. I'm also gonna tell you a basic outline of the rules and maybe how things have changed this year or they're going to change. And then we're just gonna see what happens. If you're unfamiliar with my game, I'm gonna link a playlist up here so you can go back and check it out, see what you think. It's based on the game of Life, which was one of my childhood favorite games, and I've been inspired by many different booktubers at this point, and I will link some down below that also play the game of Life. I don't know if they still do. It's been a while. It's been a while since I started this game. But I was initially inspired by Becca and the Books because she picked Monopoly because that's her favorite childhood game. So I had picked the game of Life because that's my favorite childhood game. And since then, TBR games have just taken off. So there are many people who continue to inspire me each month, and I love watching TBR games. I just got to a point where I didn't love playing my TBR games. So hopefully we'll turn that around this next year and I can go back to loving my game as much as I did in the past. So as far as the rules go, this game is basically very much like the game of Life, except that I created my own prompts to go on all the different spots. And some of them do correlate to the spots that they were on, like this one right here, this stop sign is the marriage, the wedding stop sign. So that is a book about love, romance, or prominent relationship. And this stop sign here is about getting a career, and I use career cards to determine prompts. So like I do try to incorporate the concept of the game of Life as much as possible in this board, but of course I had to make it bookish. So the way that we're going to be doing it this year is, as always, to start off the game, I have to decide whether I'm going to college or career, and I do that by spinning the wheel. If it's 1 through 5, I go to college and I just start right on the college path. If it's 6 through 10, I started a career, and because I'm not going to college, I have to pick a career right away, which adds a book to my TBR from the get-go. So then I'll pull a career card, and I will use that card to help me determine a book. And then this is the path that I will go for career. I will be doing 4 spins each month, just 4. That's how many I'm starting out with. And I'm not gonna have any punishments if I don't finish books. I'm taking that away. There's gonna be no punishments if I don't finish the books, because that was one of the things that was really making me not enjoy my game as much last year. So I am going to try and prioritize these books because these are books that I'm going to try and work into different challenges I would like to do. They're books that I would like to get to, but I'm really not going to penalize myself because that just made for me not feeling as great about my game. And I don't want to do that anymore. If I land on a spot that adds a spin to it, I will add a spin and that will add an extra book. And that's just another possibility of a book that I will hopefully read in that month. So yeah, 4 spins unless I add another. When I land on a spot, it's just gonna be the prompt. I'm not gonna worry about combining the prompt and the genre or the diversity rep the way I did in previous years. It's gonna be that prompt, that's it. It's gonna be a lot more simplistic. I do have my spinner wheel spots, so when I land on the spinner wheel spots and it has a G, I will spin for genre, and when I land on a spot that has a D, I will spin for diversity. And I've kept my same, oh, can you see it? And I've kept my same genres and diversity rep on here because I really like what I have on here. That's probably not going to change. As far as anything else different, I'm still going to do book cards. Book cards are basically this little bag of cards that I have that have separate prompts on them, and I will pick from that. I still have like my Quake Cup or Challenge Cup. I still haven't ever updated those. What are they reading? What are other booktubers reading? And I have a cup with other booktubers' names in it. I have my or Magda choice. I haven't chatted with Magda about books in a little bit, but I'm sure she would love to give me book recommendations. So that's still gonna be in play. As far as everything else goes, everything will be the same except that I'm not gonna be matching prompts with the spinner wheel with genre, and I am not going to be punishing myself as much as I like to punish myself in the past. So that's changing. So one of the things that will be changing, and I know you'll be curious about this, is the viewer spin, because in previous years I had a separate car and I spun for the viewers, for you, and you had your own journey that you were going on. It's going to change this year. So what's going to happen this year is my very last spin is going to be the viewer prompt. So whatever I land on my final spin, you're going to have to fulfill as well. And this is where you can help me out. This is where you're gonna help me out. If you fulfill the viewer prompt and you comment down in the comment section down below, I am gonna add however many people have finished that viewer prompt, I'm gonna add that many moves onto my board, because I don't think I've ever completed my board in a year, in a regular year. I don't think I've ever completed it. And that's just, I'm done with that. Like, I want to finish this game and I want to maybe get through the board twice this year. So if, for example, I land on the final roll, final spin that I do, and the viewer prompt is reread, it's also my prompt, I have to reread a book. You would also have to reread a book. And if you comment in the comment section down below and let me know what book that you read for the reread, I will move that car forward one spot for every single person that rereads a book. If 10 people reread a book, then I'll move the car forward 10 spots. Also, I'm thinking that every person who participates in the viewer prompt and reads a book for the viewer prompt each month, I'm gonna put your name in a little pot. And quarterly, I think I'm gonna pick somebody's name from there. And you'll be a recipient of a book of your choice from Amazon, because that's the easiest way to do that sort of thing with wish lists and whatnot. So if you're interested in that, I will be putting multiple entries in. So like if you were to participate in the viewer prompt in January, February, and March, you'll get 3 entries into the little viewer pot before I do the drawing. And then at the end of that quarter, after I draw a name, I will dump out the pot and we'll start over again. Okay, I forgot to mention that there is a limit to this though. You can only do the viewer prompt once a month. So if the prompt is reread a book, then you reread one book, tell me in the comment section down below. That means that you'll have a total possibility of 3 entries into the pot, 1 for each month, not multiple ones in each month. So that is something I'm contemplating. I think that would be fun. That might give you a little incentive to help me out by participating in the viewer prompt. Let me know in the comment section down below if this is something you think you'll participate in and some of your thoughts on that. And if you have any questions about my rules with my board, there's a lot of stuff I didn't talk about, but I will link everything you need to know in the description box below. Some of it's outdated, so be aware of that. It still gives you a basic idea of my game, and you'll see how it works as things go along. Okay, without further ado, let's go ahead and play this game and see what happens in 2025. Fingers crossed I make big progress and actually win the game. Maybe once, maybe twice in this year. Okay, so we have to start out and figure out whether I'm gonna go to college or I'm gonna start at a career. And this is gonna be one of the instances where I may have to add an extra book on top of the 4 spins I'm doing, because if I start career, I have to grab a career card first and pick a book based off that career card. So let's see what happens. Am I going to college or am I starting a career? 1 through 5 means I'm going to college. 6 through 10 means I'm starting a career and skipping college. Just gonna go right into it. Okay. I am starting a career. So that means I've got to add 1 book to my TBR. The nice thing about the career cards is I can make them as loose or as complex as I want to. These are basically different careers that are possibilities, and I can use this to help determine what book I want to use. And I can be as creative as I want to be to make these work. Okay, so let me shuffle. This one. Travel agent. Okay. So this can be a book about traveling. It can be a book about a character who's a travel agent. It could be a book about, it could be a book from a different country, you know, like a country that I'm not living in. It could be a book from a country that I have traveled to in the past, or maybe one that I've never traveled to. Okay, actually it's already turning into a 5-book TBR. That's okay, that's okay. So for the very first prompt, I decided to go with a career, and my career card was for a travel agent. And for this prompt, I'm going with The Care and Management of Lies by Jacqueline Winspear. And the reason that I picked this particular book for the travel agent prompt is because this is set in England, and I've traveled to England a lot. It's a favorite travel destination for me because I have friends there. I've spent a lot of great times there, and so I feel like it works really well for the travel agent. In fact, I've been just wanting to go back. So this works for that. Plus, this is during World War I, and some of our main characters, well, one of our main characters gets deployed. So that is a bit of unwanted but traveling. And this is an historical fiction that my friend Margaret Pernard actually gave to me because she was giving me a whole bunch of books. And this is one of the ones I was interested in, so I picked it up, and I'm very intrigued by this one. I think I'm gonna really enjoy this. So it's set in 1914, and we have two female characters who are best friends, childhood friends. There's Kezia and there's Thea. Well, Kezia ends up marrying Thea's brother, and Thea's really disappointed in Kezia because Thea's very much into women's suffrage, and she really wants the rights for women. She doesn't want women to live this life where they're beholden to their husbands. And Kezia apparently wants something different for her life, and this is frustrating for Thea. So when Kezia and Thea's brother get married, Thea passive-aggressively gives Kezia a book about household management to basically say, like, this is what your life's gonna be. But then the war happens, and Kezia's husband, Thea's brother, gets sent off to the war. And Kezia actually ends up supporting the war. I don't know how, but she goes off and is participating in supporting the war or working within the war as well. So guess who actually gets stuck staying home and managing the farm? Thea is the one who has to take care of things and keep the farm in good shape. And so I think this will be a very interesting dynamic. I really like historical fiction, and I don't think I read a lot set in World War I. I feel like I've read or heard of something by Jacqueline Winspear. Oh, she's the Maisie Dobbs author. Okay, I haven't read Maisie Dobbs, that series yet, but I really would like to read the first book. So I'm excited about this, especially if this is that same author. This also works for Buzzwordathon, because in January, there are 2 words that you can choose from to be within the title, and that is truth or lies. And so this one has lies in the title. It's a book off my shelf that has the word lies in it, and so it works really perfectly for that. It also works for something else, but you'll get to see that a little bit later in the month. Okay, so now that we know I'm starting with a career, I'm gonna be going this direction. So let's see what's gonna happen with my very first spin. Spin number 1. Ah, everything is gonna go all over the place. That's what's gonna happen. 8, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. A gifted book. That's perfect because I have lots of gifted books that I need to read. And spin number 2 was a gifted book, which was actually perfect because I needed to work this book on my TBR anyways. And this was gifted to me by my wonderful friend, Leanna, and that is Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. This is the book for Bookstar read-alongs, the very first book we have to read in January in the Foundryside series. I'm so excited to read this. I don't think it's called the Foundryside series. I think this series is gorgeous. I'm very curious about it. It's about a thief, a damn good one. In this book, Sansia has to steal an artifact that has this incredible power that she doesn't even understand. But other people, of course, want this artifact, and it's very dangerous. And whatever happens with this artifact can affect the world or the city or whatever. It can affect everything. And so it's very, very dangerous if it gets into the wrong hands. And I can't wait to discuss this with Bookstar read-alongs. If you're interested in reading this series with us, there's still plenty of time. I will link the announcement video up here. Please go check us out. I host this with my wonderful friends, Danielle from Bookara and Paige from Pages with Paige. Wonderful, wonderful people. And we have a great time talking about all the books, whether they're good or bad. Let's see what's gonna happen for spin number 2. 10. Yep, I'm gonna get stuck at the stop sign. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is a book about love, romance, or prominent relationship. Spin number 3 got me a stop sign, and I have to read a book about love, romance, or prominent relationship. This is always easy for me to do because even most books that I read tend to have at least a prominent relationship or some kind of love or romance. Not all. But I decided to come back to a book that I read part of, and I was determined to read it right when I got it, and I just got so busy with all the different readathons I was doing that I had to put it down, and I never got back to it, which is such a bummer because I was so excited about The Blackbird Oracle by Deborah Harkness, and I'm still very, very excited about this. I've read most of it, like I'm pretty close, I'm over halfway. But I want to restart this because I want to give it the time and attention that it deserves. And I feel like I might have a little more time and attention to give it in this next month. Maybe that's not true, but I'm hoping that I will. This will definitely happen because I have been waiting to read this book for a very long time. And we've been watching The Discovery of Witches, the TV show. And oh my gosh, it's so good. If you have not watched The Discovery of Witches TV show, go watch it. It's on Netflix now. It is so, so good. We're just like giddy with excitement every time we sit down and watch an episode. So I can't give you much information about this, but it's about a witch and a vampire that are drawn together at the very beginning of this series, because this is like the 5th book in the series. They're drawn together by a book the Ashmole 782, is that what it is? Ashmole 782, I'm right. And this book might have everything you need to understand witches and vampires and demons. And the problem is everybody wants it for different reasons, and they're gonna try and get it from Diana and Matthew. So that is basically the beginning of the story, but there's so much more. There's so much that goes into this particular series, and I just absolutely love it. There's an academia bent to it, which I really, really appreciate. The connection between the two characters, there's a lot of chemistry. You fall in love with so many characters in this. The only thing I can say is if you're not into really detailed descriptive books, this series might not necessarily be for you because it is very, very detailed. The pacing is not always super fast, but you get so much richness out of the characters, out of the settings, the scenery, out of all the different aspects that go into it. I just think this is an incredible series. This is also gonna work for Suffer-a-thon, the year-long challenge, which is this new thing that we're doing. After last year, we decided to do a monthly year-long challenge for Suffer-a-thon so that we can continue the suffering all throughout the year, because that's, you know, what we love. And I will link the announcement video up here. I'm also gonna link the announcement video and January's prompt drop down in the description box below. So if you don't wanna be spoiled for those, go check those out first. As far as the prompt, which direction I'm going in, is that, you know, we got shipwrecked, of course. It was to be expected. And I decided, because I'm a bit chaotic when it comes to Suffer-a-thon, that I'm just gonna fall in and hope that everything goes well. That something saves me, someone saves me. So the prompt for falling in and hoping is to read a book that you've been meaning to read for a while. I have been meaning to read this. In fact, I read most of it and I didn't finish it. And that's just ridiculous. So I need to get this book read. It works perfectly for that prompt. And I'm very excited to see what happens next month if someone rescues me, because I don't think I want to be stuck in the ocean for very long. I'm moving right along, which is really exciting for my very first game of the year. Okay, so I stopped at the stop sign, but my rules now are that I don't have to get stuck there. So let's see what's gonna happen with spin number 3. 2, not going very far. Okay, so 1, 2, and I've got a book card. Let me grab my book card bag. Okay, all my book cards are in here, and let's see, I'll show you what they look like. They look like this, little book cards, and they have different prompts on them that have me do different things. And there's quite a few in here that are like friend picks or things like that. So let's find out. And then once I pick it, I take it out and I put it in a different jar. I have refilled this from last year so that we're starting out fresh. And I'm gonna pick this one. Okay. Oldest on my No, that's not how I want to start the year. Oh no, oldest book on my TBR. Okay, well, that's gonna happen. For my 4th book, I got a book card, and the book card that I chose was oldest on TBR. And I figured I don't want to read Ulysses by James Joyce. I especially don't want to start the year out that way. So I was like, I can interpret this 2 ways. It can either be the book that I've had on my TBR, the oldest, like the longest, or it can be the oldest published book on my TBR, because I just put oldest on TBR. So I decided I can interpret that however I want to. I also decided that I'm gonna go with the top 5 choices, because I am trying to give myself a little more leeway this year. And so of course, when I looked at the books that have been on there the longest on my TBR, Ulysses was the first one, which I knew was gonna happen. But Stardoc was the second one on there by SL Viehl. And this is one of the books that I decided to keep after doing my Try a Chapter and a Coffee. And if you've never seen my Try a Chapter and a Coffee, it's been a while since I've done one, but they're fun videos and I will link them up here. I still want to do more this year, so we'll see if it happens in 2025. But one of the things I wanted to do as a result of the Try a Chapter and a Coffee was actually go back and read the books that I kept. So I have this one, and I have Spin, which is the other sci-fi book that I kept from one of the videos. And I'd like to actually read them and do a little vlog of me reading the books from my Try a Chapter and a Coffee and see if it was worth the save. So I've been looking forward to reading this sci-fi for a while. It's like candy sci-fi. It's like one of those ones that's just gonna be so much fun, and it's about this doctor who works on different aliens in outer space, and she has different adventures because of it. There are secrets from her past that she's trying to avoid while also trying to make a living as a doctor in outer space. And now for my 4th and final spin for this month. I'm gonna get what? A 2 again. Okay. 1, 2. This is just rude. Lowest rated on my TBR. Actually, this works out because I have a book idea, a vlog idea that I want to do in January. So this might actually be a really good thing. For my 5th book, it was a terrible prompt. And sadly for you, this is also your prompt, the viewer prompt. And this is the lowest rated book on my TBR. So this is the lowest rated book on my actual TBR. And that's gonna be the same for you, the lowest rated book on your TBR. And I would definitely say pick from the lowest 5 rated books on your TBR, because I did that because I wanted to make 19 Claws and a Blackbird by Augustina Bazterrica work, because this is something I would like to read for Herkyed, and I'm hoping to be able to do that vlog soon. This is a collection of short stories that a lot of people absolutely hate. And because I really liked Tenders of Flesh, I'm very curious to see if I feel the same way. Short story collections can be really tricky. So I'm really hoping, and fingers crossed for me, that I don't hate this one as much as other people do, because that would be sad. But it's a possibility. So don't forget, sometime this month, to read the lowest rated book on your TBR. I say come back by the 25th. Before the 25th, that's always a good day, because that gives me time to plan my next TBR and do all the spins and stuff like that. So that's gonna be your deadline. If you have read at least 50% of the lowest book on your TBR, and you're planning on finishing it or DNFing it, come back by the 25th. Let me know in the comment section down below what that book is, and tell me a little bit about what you thought, especially because it's the lowest rated book on your TBR. And you will be helping me out, because I'm gonna add a jump with my car onto my game next month. And you'll be helping yourself out maybe a little bit, because I'll be putting you in for a drawing that I will do quarterly for the people who are participating in the viewer prompt. I have a lot of other hopefuls and things that I want to read in January, things I need to accomplish in January. Blind date with a book. And sorry, Shell. It's been a rough year. Last year was a rough year. Anyways, I'm not gonna talk about that here though. So if you see stuff and it comes out and it looks good, hopefully it does. Otherwise, these are the books that I'm gonna be focusing on the most in the month of January. This one is one of the oldest books on my TBR. This one is a gifted book. This one is the lowest rated, or one of the lowest rated books on my TBR. This one by Jacqueline Winspear is inspired by The Travel Agent, because I love traveling to the UK. And finally, The Blackbird Oracle has a very prominent relationship between Matthew and Diana, and there's a lot of love and romance in this particular series. So those are the books. Wish me luck, and let me know in the comment section down below if you've read any of these and what your thoughts were on them. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens in January. Will I get to any of these books? Will I have vlogs that I'm hoping to do? I don't know, but we will try. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you later. Bye.